Welcome back to my channel, Myschyff here, bringing you another video. In today's content, we are going to analyze an upcoming character that will be introduced in Phase 2 of version 2.5 in Honkai Star Rail, Lingsha. And I'm not going to lie to you, but Gallagher may be in trouble here. In this video, we are going to analyze information that you need to know before you pull her, such as her kit, relics, Eidolons, Lightcones, and team options. Before we get started, this is only an analysis video, so any mistakes I make here will be corrected in the official guide on the day of her release. Now without wasting any more of your time, let's get started. So basically, Lingsha is a 5-star fire unit following the path of abundance, and I'm not gonna lie to you, but she may be an upgrade over Gallagher in terms of healing. She utilizes the new game mechanic Summon, and she also has some break capabilities in her kit, which is actually useful if you're considering running her with Firefly. Additionally, her Summon is actually considered as a follow-up attack, meaning she can be used outside of Firefly comps with units such as Facial and Boot Heal, but we'll cover more of that later in the video. Her basic attack is nothing too crazy. She regenerates 20 energy and deals fire damage equal to 100% of her attack to a single target enemy. But with one of her talents, Sylvan Smoke, she actually gains an additional 10 energy when she uses her basic attack. So to quickly summarize it for the people in the back, she helps you get access to her ultimate faster because her basic attack gives 20 energy and 10 energy from her talent, adding up to a total of 30 energy. If we're comparing this to Gallagher at E6, she actually offers an overall improvement in terms of accessing her ultimate faster. Gallagher's E1 allows him to regenerate 20 energy and increases his effect res by 50% when entering battle. So in that turn and in that turn only, he may outperform Lingsha when generating their ultimates. However, if you are running Volback on Gallagher, then they may perform about just the same. Lingsha's skill deals fire damage to 80% of her attack to all enemies and restores HP for all characters by 14% of Lingsha's attack, plus an additional 240. So in comparison to Gallagher, who offers a solid 1.6k healing to just one ally, Lingsha's healing scales from her attack and heals all allies on the field and deals some damage to enemies. So to put this into perspective, this is actually a big improvement for players who don't have access to a 5-star limited sustain unit. 5-star sustain units are becoming much more harder to come by nowadays, so investing in Lingsha may not be a bad idea if you don't have a premium sustain unit available to you. On top of that, as we are approaching into harder endgame content, single target healing from an ally's skill is not going to make up for the damage taken if the enemy drops an AoE nuclear damage, which is why units such as Huohuo and Aventurine are desirable and dominate Memory of Chaos. Also, another part of her skill advances Fuyan by 20%. If you don't know who Fuyan is, Lingsha's talent is tied to Fuyan. When Lingsha uses her skill, she summons Fuyan with the initial speed of 90 and an action count of 3. When taking action, Fuyan launches a follow-up attack, dealing 75% of Lingsha's attack to all enemies. Additionally, she also deals another 75% of fire damage based on Lingsha's attack to a random enemy on the field. Something to keep in mind is that this damage usually prioritizes targets that have both toughness greater than 0 and fire weakness. On top of that, she also dispels 1 debuff from all allies and restores HP equal to 12% of Lingsha's attack plus 360. So basically, you're going to heal a lot and cleanse debuffs faster the more you spam this skill. So between Lingsha and Gallagher, Lingsha is going to be SP negative since you want to maintain Fuyan's presence on the field. Moving on to Lingsha's ultimate, she inflicts the Befog state on all enemy units. Targets in the Befog state take 25% more break damage that lasts for 2 turns. It also deals fire damage equal to 150% of Lingsha's attack to all enemy units currently on the field and restores HP equal to 12% of Lingsha's attack plus 360 for all party members. It advances action for Fuyan by 100%. So to put it into perspective, Lingsha is going to provide your team with a lot of healing from her skill, her ultimate, and her talent. Her other major traces such as her A1, Vermilion Waft, increases Lingsha's attack or outgoing healing by an amount equal to 25% or 10% of break effect, up to a maximum of 50%, 20% respectively. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's looking like Lingsha's attack or outgoing healing is going to increase based on their break effect. So the more break effect you have on your stats, the more stats you're going to receive from this major trace. So players are encouraged to push for break effect to maximize this trace's value. Lingsha's last trace, Ember's Echo, works in battle. When any ally takes damage or consumes HP, if their HP is less than 60%, Fuyan will immediately trigger the follow-up attack from Lingsha's talent and gains the healing effect from that too. However, this doesn't count as Fuyan taking their action. If Firefly outside of her ultimate uses her skill and her HP is consumed, Fuyan will automatically follow up with an attack and heal Firefly. Or if you're randomly running Blade in your team and he reaches less than 60% of his HP, then Fuyan will deal a follow-up attack and heal Blade by 12% of Lingsha's attack plus an additional 360, and you're able to use this effect again after 2 turns. For minor traces, she gains a 37% break effect boost, an 18% HP boost, and a 10% attack boost. So to quickly summarize the pros and cons of her kit, she offers frequent healing from her kit, improving the survivability for your team if the enemies are dealing a lot of damage. She also offers AoE cleanse in her kit, which is actually quite useful against enemies inflicting debuffs on your team, such as Kafka CC or Windshear. She also contributes to damage despite being a sustained unit. Her talent also remains active even if the unit is CC'd, so you don't need to worry about adding effect res stats into your build. She also seems future-proof. Premium abundance units are becoming more rare to come across nowadays, so if you don't own a 5-star sustained unit, I'd suggest getting one for comfortable gameplay. Lastly, unlike most units in this game, she's able to regenerate an additional 10 energy, which altogether gives a solid 30 energy from a basic attack. For cons, Lingsha is not going to be SP positive, I'm not gonna lie, since she wants to consistently maintain the uptime on her skill. So if you compare this to units like Gallagher, who can spam basic attack to access the ultimate, Lingsha cannot do the same, since it would be sacrificing a huge part of her kit, which you don't want to do. Okay, now let's take a look at her relics. Lingsha usually wants to mix and match with other sets such as 2-piece messenger with another 2-piece break effect pieces such as Thief, Iron Cavalry, or Watchmaker. Ideally, you want to pair Lingsha with any of these combinations, especially with messenger, since 160 speed should be the ideal amount for 4 turns in 2 cycles, allowing more damage and more SP generation. This should also be achievable through Runmay's passive, since it grants all allies 10 extra speed in combat. 2-piece Passerby of Wandering Cloud with 2-piece break effect set is also another solid option here to increase her healing for more comfortable gameplay when clearing content. You can also swap out the break effect set with messenger for the additional 6% speed if you need to meet the 160 speed requirement. You could also run 4-piece Iron Cavalry, as it offers the highest DPS output for Lingsha at 250% break effect. Although I would advise against this, as maintaining 250% break effect with 160 speed is going to involve a lot of investment and can be quite difficult to achieve. So instead, you'd be better off investing in your DPS units rather than wasting time on an abundance unit that isn't going to deal mega million damage for your team. You could also run 4-piece Watchmaker on Lingsha, but I'd advise against this since you should be running the set on Harmony Trailblazer and its effect doesn't stack. So if you're running 4-piece Watchmaker on Harmony MC and Lingsha at the same time, you only get one of the effects, not 2. For planar sets, we're going to keep this brief. Calpagni should be the best set for Lingsha. If you're considering running her in the Super Break team, Calpagni gives Lingsha an extra 6% speed to help you reach your speed checkpoints easier whenever she attacks an enemy with fire weakness that lasts for 1 turn. For Firefly comps, this set is going to be a must. Lingsha can take advantage of this effect when Firefly applies fire weakness onto an enemy through her ultimate state. However, I do think there are other solid options worth considering, such as Penacony Land of the Dreams. The set offers a solid 5% energy regeneration rate, and damage for all allies with the same type is increased by 10%. This seems like a good option to increase Firefly's overall damage just a bit and provides a very nice 5% energy regen for faster access to her ultimate. Sprightly Von Whack is also an okay option, providing the same amount of energy regeneration as Penacony, but instead, if she reaches 120 speed or higher, her action is advanced by 40% when entering battle. But between Sprightly and Penacony, I think Penacony would be the better option between the two, since she should be starting battle at 160 speed anyway. But between Von Whack and Penacony, I think Penacony would be the better option between the two, since she should be starting the battle at 160 speed anyway, as well as increasing Firefly's overall damage by an extra 10%. If you're considering running Lingsha outside of Super Break comps, then Talia Kingdom of Banditry is going to be the one solid option worth considering. Talia increases her break effect by 16%. However, if Lingsha reaches 145 speed or higher, then you get an additional 20% of break effect. Broken Kill is also another incredible option if you're running her in hypercarry comps, but you do have to reach 30% effect res to access the crit damage buff. You can also consider running Fleet of Ageless for the extra 12% HP and 8% extra attack. For main stats, you want to use Outgoing Healing or Attack for her chest piece. Between the two, Outgoing Healing is more favorable for more comfortable gameplay when clearing content. Speed Boots is pretty straightforward, since you want to get as much speed as possible, ideally 160 to get full actions in 2 cycles. Her Orb go for attack percent, since her healing scales off her attack. Her Rope, however, can use energy regeneration rate for faster ultimate usage. So if Lingsha is equipped with Penacony or Von Whack, then you can consistently get access to a 3-turn ultimate with a Lightcone that also gives energy regen. But on the other hand, you can also consider running a break effect rope on her if you want to go for more damage. Lastly, for her substats, you want to prioritize speed, break effect, attack percent, HP, everything else throughout the window unless you're running Broken Kill. Then prioritize effect res after speed. You want to aim for 160 speed for faster rotation and SP generation, 200% break effect for the full healing bonus effect. If you end up overcapping that limit, you just deal bonus damage. For attack, just build as much as you can. I'll cover everything else in a separate guide video. Okay, now let's move on to her Eidolons. And I'm I'm not gonna lie to you, but her E1 is pretty broken for super break comps. So this is going to be the best stopping point if you're considering investing in Lingsha. But if you like the character that much, and I don't blame you, then by all means go all in for that E6. At E1, Lingsha's weakness break efficiency is increased by 50%, and when an enemy unit's weakness is broken, she reduces their defense by 20%. So to put it into perspective, Firefly equipped with Iron Cavalry ignores 25% of enemies' defense, and if you happen to have Runway 2 at E1, then you're going to ignore another 20% from enemies. And to top it off, Lingsha at E1 also ignores another 20%. So in total, you're going to ignore 65% of the enemy's defense. No, actually I lied. It doesn't even stop there too. You also get another 15% if you happen to have E1 Firefly. And if we happen to get another premium unit in the future to replace Harmony Trailblazer, which we obviously will, and they have defense ignore in their E1, then we're going to be looking at a total of 100% defense ignore. At E2, when Lingsha uses her ultimate, she increases all allies break effect by 40% for 2 turns. Right, so although this may seem like a good Eidolon to increase damage, the cost is too steep since you just end up spending 225 rolls for an E2 abundance unit. So you'd be better off investing in a DPS unit. Again, just to remind you, if you really like her, then go for it. Her E4, again, it's nothing too crazy, but when Fuyan takes action, she restores HP equal to 40% of Lingsha's attack for the lowest HP ally on the field. Now this seems like a situational Eidolon, and I don't see a world where you'd be using this since you'd be consistently healing from her talent, skill, and ultimate. And since you want to maintain uptime on Fuyan, you're pretty much going to be spamming her skill, which is one source of healing, and Fuyan being the cherry on top. Lingsha's E6 is pretty much a buff for Fuyan. While Fuyan is on the field, she reduces all enemies' res pen by 20%. When Fuyan attacks, she additionally deals 4 instances of damage, with each instance dealing 5 damage to 50% of Lingsha's attack, and 5 toughness damage reduction to 1 random enemy unit. This prioritizes targets with toughness greater than 0 and fire weakness. TLDR, you're pretty much hitting that 100% defense ignore with her E6, as I mentioned earlier on. That is pretty busted for the people in the back waiting for E6 Lingsha to come home. Okay, now let's move on to her Lightcone options. Lingsha's signature Lightcone option, Scent Stays Alone, is going to be her best option, increasing her break effect by 60%. After the wearer uses their ultimate to attack enemy targets, it inflicts the targets with the woe-free state. That lasts for 2 turns. While on the woe-free state, enemy targets take 10% increased damage. The effect of increasing damage is additionally boosted by 8% if the wearer's current break effect is higher. This is pretty much a very solid Lightcone to pick up if you're considering running Lingsha with Firefly, especially with the 18% increase in damage. It also is a fantastic option outside the super break comps. So if you're considering picking Lingsha's S1 or E1, then S1 is going to be the better option here since break effect increases her healing output and reaching over 200% increases her overall attack, while E1 improves her break efficiency on elemental weak enemies, making it favorable for super break comps. Night of Fright is also a solid option for Lingsha, offering 12% energy regeneration and good base stats since it's a 5-star Lightcone. The Lightcone also offers another healing mechanic. When any ally uses the ultimate, the wearer restores HP for the current ally with the lowest HP percentage by an equal amount to 10% of the ally's max HP. Also, when the wearer provides healing for the ally, it increases the healed ally's attack by 2.4%. This effect can stack up to 5 times and lasts for 2 turns. It's a good pick to keep your allies alive, giving your team a total of 4 sources of healing, as well as accelerating your energy regeneration for faster ultimate usage. Her best free-to-play Lightcone is going to be post-op conversation. The Lightcone increases the energy regeneration rate of its wearer by 16% at S5 and increases outgoing healing when they use the ultimate by 24%. This allows more ultimate activations for Lingsha, as well as increasing her overall healing. On top of that, it also contributes to accessing her 3-turn ultimate, which is fantastic to consistently access some healing and advancing Fuyan's action by 100%. Quid Pro Quo is another solid option for Lingsha. At the start of the wearer's turn, at S5, you regenerate 16 energy for a randomly chosen party member, excluding the wearer whose current energy is below 50%. This is an accessible Lightcone that you could buy from the Forgotten Hall shop in case you don't have any other options available to you. What is Real is another viable choice for Lingsha. At S5, it increases her break effect by 48%. After using basic attack, she restores HP by an equal amount of 4% of her max HP, plus an additional 800. This is another Lightcone you could buy from the Forgotten Hall shop. It offers a good amount of break effect, as well as more self-healing and an increase to reaching 200% break effect. Just to remind again that anything above 200% is considered additional damage for Lingsha. Right, now let's take a good look at her team comps. Obviously, her best team is going to be with Firefly, Runmate, and Harmony Trailblazer, and herself. Firefly implants fire weakness onto enemies, maximizing Lingsha's value since Fuyan deals AoE damage. You could run her with any other break team outside of Firefly, such as pairing Lingsha with Boot Heal, Runmate, and Harmony Trailblazer. Although this could reduce her value since Boot Heal can't apply fire weakness to enemies like Firefly, which just alters her value in different battles if the enemy is not weak to fire. You could also run Lingsha with Fei Shao Xiao, Topaz, and Robin, since Lingsha's talent has a follow-up attack. Although her value would also alter in different scenarios, since enemies need to be weak to fire to maximize her value, Aventurine is going to be the better option in this comp anyway, since he's going to outdamage Lingsha in every single way possible. But if you want to run her with Fei Xiao, then by all means go ahead. Now onto the topic that everyone has been waiting for, and finally we have an answer: Gallagher or Lingsha. Lingsha at E0 and Gallagher at E6 doesn't show that much difference in terms of damage. However, what Lingsha offers that Gallagher doesn't is her AoE healing from 3 different parts of her kit: an AoE cleanse, which is something that I don't think we've seen from an abundance unit until now, and higher DPS. Gallagher on the other hand just offers 2 healing sources from a skill that only offers 1.6k and AoE healing after using his enhanced basic attack, so you're pretty much dependent on his ultimate to team-wide healing. As we're diving into harder endgame content and how rare limited abundance units are now, Lingsha should be worth the investment if you're looking for more comfortable gameplay. For example, if enemy units are dealing AoE nuclear damage in future endgame content, then Gallagher is not going to be able to keep up unless you get his enhanced basic attack every single turn, which is impossible. On top of that, Gallagher peaks at E6. Lingsha on the other hand just keeps getting stronger through her Eidolons. Between Gallagher E6 and Lingsha E1, the difference is already vast. It's already night and day. She reduces the enemy's defense by 20%, which is already pretty diabolical for an abundance unit. Lingsha is also a great unit for pure fiction, since she deals AoE damage, so she's going to be a great pickup if you're having a hard time clearing that sort of content. I'll be covering a separate video with calculations and correct mistakes that I have made on this video. For now, this is just my analysis. That's going to be the end of this video, and hopefully you considered pulling for Lingsha. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe on your way out if you want to see more content like this. If I've made any mistakes in the video, let me know in the comments below, because it'll help on my official guide for the day of her release. Or if you have any questions, ask away in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you. With that being said, I'll see you guys in a bit.